Hey everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video here on my channel. As most of you probably know, a few months back I began making a four-piece video series here on the channel, and number one was the Cartier lighter, number two was the St. DuPont, and number three was the Dunhill lighter. And so video four was supposed to be the final one in the series where I compared the three and just come to a verdict which one is the best for which use. Now, this is the fourth video. However, this is not the final one where I make a comparison because I was on eBay, as I am quite regularly, and I stumbled over something really cool. And I put in a bid, and long and behold, I won the item. Now, I have not taken a look at it. I just opened the box and removed the label. So let's take a look at it. So it's wrapped up in newspaper. So you probably already know from the title what it is. Let me just open it up. And there it is. So what we have here is a Cartier lighter, just like the one I already own, but I have a Santos design. This is a different design, and yeah, well, so why did I buy it? Well, firstly, it was really cheap. I paid $40, which once upon a time I would not have considered cheap, but Cartier prices, particularly Cartier accessories, have really shot up as Cartier watches have become so popular, and the brand Cartier has really developed really well over the past few years. The vintage stuff is getting a lot more desirable, and definitely lighters are a part of that. So $40, it was a pretty good deal for this, particularly because it looks to be, under all of this dirt and crud, to be in an alright nick. So we have a few little dents and problems, particularly up here, and also it's engraved, so I think that is NU, right? So we have to see what hides under this varnish and all of this dirt. But okay, I don't know if you can hear that, but gas is flowing, so that is a really good sign because this lighter was shipped on Sunday. Today is Wednesday, so this means that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days, for at least 4 days, this has been tight, and I suspect that it was not filled on Sunday, so I guess it was filled at least a week before that. So that is a really good sign because that means that the tank inside is still keeping gas. Other than that, what do I notice? So I can also see that there is no flint that spins freely. It does work. The mechanism does work. So the flint does, the sparking wheel does come out. However, it could do with some lubrication. So down here, everything looks more or less fine. So the door is still on there, and also this folds out and isn't broken, but we have to watch out here because these tend to be quite fragile. But thankfully, as you can maybe see, the spring isn't in there too tight, so that is really good, and it's not seized. That's really important. Now, as you probably have already guessed, this video is all about, let's put that in here. This video is all about me restoring this lighter together with you and giving you a step-by-step guide what you have to look out for when doing it, because in the last video I told you a lot of the stuff, but I wasn't really able to show it to you. Now this is gonna change because in here I'm really gonna show you how I clean this thing up, or how I attempt to. See, that's the big thing here. I'm no expert, right? I've done this once before on the Dunhill, it worked. Knock on wood, that'll work this time again. But frankly, I don't know. And so we'll discover this together. And hopefully by the end of this video, we'll have a beautiful, brand new looking Cartier lighter in front of us. And hopefully also you'll be able to replicate that with your cheap, ugly looking Cartier lighter. And that is the goal of this video. So I'm going to pause it right here. I'm going to take it apart and get some equipment, and then we'll discover it together. All right, so see you then. Okay, we're back. I got the most important stuff we'll need to take this thing apart and to hopefully bring it back to life. So, to get the outside shiny again, I've got Brasso metal polish. I also got some alcohol glass cleaner, which is my favorite cleaner. I also got some distilled water down there. I got a toothbrush, and I got some screwdrivers, which hopefully we won't need. We only need those if things are stuck. So we'll start this assembly by unscrewing the big spring. Now here we have to hope that the spring is still springy, which it is. So that's the first good sign. So we'll put this to the side as we won't need it. And then let's take this out. And this is our bottom cover. Now I don't know how the condition of this is. I hope that it'll clean up nicely, but as you can see already, it is just silver plated, or it has a plating that makes it look silver. So underneath this, it might be gold because it has been rubbed off, because the base metal I think is brass. But we'll find out. So let's put that to the side as well. And here we have our tank. And this does not have any Cartier insignia, but it looks pretty clean. But as we could already saw, there was no problem coming from the tank itself. So yeah, hopefully this thing is still fine, because replacements for these are really expensive. So now we can look inside our Cartier lighter. And as we can see, the main issue here is basically that we do not have a flint as of right now. Otherwise, we'll have to see how this all cleans up. We definitely have to lubricate it, so I'll get some WD-40 in just a second. And yeah, so what you have to do at this point, right? Because what you want to make sure is that your mechanism is really clean, because down here you can see, right, and that is quite dirty. So what we want to do is we're going to take the brush and some distilled water and some of the glass cleaner alcohol, and we'll start brushing this all out. And now after that, you immediately want to lubricate it, because otherwise it would start rusted in there because it gets wet, and we certainly want to avoid that. All right, so I'll get some WD-40, and in the next clip you're going to join me, and we'll start cleaning this. Okay, and we're back again in here, and now I have a mixture of the glass cleaner and distilled water. It's important to use distilled water because you do not want to have minerals or dirt ultimately clogging up the mechanism of the lighter. So using distilled water is an easy way to at least partially avoid that, and to ensure that you'll have less work down the line, which is always what we're trying to do here, right? We do not want to make it harder than it already is. So what I'm doing here basically is I'm just brushing it slightly off to make it look good again, and to clean all the crud and dirt out of the mechanism. So this isn't particularly exciting. So I'll continue doing this until it's ready, and then you'll join me again. Okie dokie, the cleanup is completed, at least from the inside. So what have I done? So firstly, I took the brush and I cleaned out all the visible surface dirt. There's still a little bit right here, so I need a brush with a little stiffer bristles, but we cleaned the most of the dirt out from here. And so why do we do this at such an early stage? Firstly, this really stops the lighter from working the way it should. Sorry, my hand is still a little wet. I just washed it. And also, when we lubricate the system, we do not want to get any dirt within it. So we want to remove all the dirt first before we lubricate it. So that's what I did here. And we can see, like, this lighter is never going to be perfect. And so this here, for instance, you can see that the silver plating has worn off, and you can see the gold beneath. Same goes for here. Someone just used the wrong cleaners to clean it up, or it was really badly adjusted. But now after lubrication, and this just makes such a world of difference. If you own one of these lighters, also downhill, very important. If you own one of these, just lubricate it regularly. It makes such a difference, because before it was really a pain to open. Now it just springs open. And do this a bunch of times. And when you feel like it's getting a little worse again, lubricate it again. And do this a bunch of times and really move through the mechanism. And you see now everything here is moving perfectly and the way it should. And also something interesting I've noticed. So I spilled some WD-40 and actually it cleaned it up sort of. So in the next stage I actually wanted to use the Brasso. However, that is a little more abrasive than WD-40 and this brush with distilled water would be. So I'm going to try and see if it actually gets it clean with just the WD-40 and the distilled water. And if so, that would be perfect. So in the next part, you'll see if that worked. And if not, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it with the Brasso. So see you then. Okay, so I just went ahead and used some of the WD-40 method, and it definitely cleaned it up. So if you take a look at the towel, a lot of it came off. However, there are some areas like the lid that are really stubborn. And so for areas like these, I'm actually going to use my old method, with which I also cleaned up my Dunhill lighter. However, attention here. It is possible that you actually wear off your finish by using this method. This method is something I came up with. I use it because it's a lot milder than actually just using the polish, and it's a lot easier on the finish. However, that does not mean that your finish is safe. It can always still come off. Generally, I want to say, if you do any of the stuff I do here and it goes wrong for you, it's on you. Look, don't sue me. I'm just trying to give you a few tips here, and if it works, perfect. If it doesn't, I'm really sorry. But this is just a little video that's supposed to show you how I do it. And yeah, so just a little disclaimer here. I wanted to still put that in. Right, so then we're going to use Brasso, which I brought from the US here to Germany, because we don't have Brasso here. I'm sure we have something similar, but the Brasso, you want to use just a little bit, and then you want to thin it out with some of the distilled water. The thing is, this is like wet sanding, or at least that's the idea behind it. You see, that was still something dried up. It's like wet sanding, or at least that's the idea behind it. It still does the thing it's supposed to do, which is remove the layer of varnish. However, it is a lot milder than if you just were to rub it on there dry. And that's why I'm also going to wet it up several times so it doesn't get too abrasive and ends up damaging the finish. And this is, I found out, a really easy way to clean up your lighter. And also, this is a way to get a cheap lighter that probably still is really good, because people see it and they say like, oh, yuck, this thing, it looks terrible. And they don't want it anymore. And then that's your chance to get a cheap, good lighter. Because there are a lot of ones that look nice but are internally just really screwed up. So you can see massive transformation here. Finish is still good. See a few scratches, but overall, still looks great. So I'm going to do the other side, top, bottom, and then we'll take a look at it when it's all finished. Okay, and we are back, and I'm super happy to report that the cleanup mission was incredibly successful. I mean, take a look at this thing. This looks fantastic. And here, up here, the engraving, so you believe me, that's still the same lighter, because my God, I wouldn't. So I also greased up the inside again. So that works absolutely beautifully now. I'm gonna let it sit a little. It's a little too much right now, but I'm gonna wipe away the excess. I just really wanted to get into every crevice possible. And So yeah, I mean, this thing is already transformed. I think if the seller had listed it looking like this, he would have gotten a lot more for it. But obviously, it was also there was also a bunch of work involved here. Obviously, also clean up the bottom side. So that looks beautiful again. Cartier, Paris. So that's perfect. The thing is, obviously, I wanted to keep a certain patina here. I mean, this thing is never going to be perfect again, especially inside. The amount of parts you'd have to replace to make this look good. No, thank you. I mean, look, we have to be realistic here. If you're watching this video also, I mean, you're looking for a cheap lighter. You already have one. You don't want to pour in tons of money by buying new Cartier parts and making this thing look brand new. It's not going to happen. That's also the same thing with the polishing. I polished that, or my version of polishing. I don't know if you can actually call that polishing, but I wanted it to get to a level where it looks like this. It looks great. And you can put it on a table and people are not going to say, Jesus Christ, did this guy just erase from the death and had this lighter in his pocket still? No. Could I get this shinier? Probably, but then again, you're walking on a fine line here. You see there's already a slight bit of gold tinge coming here. That's the brass, and I don't want to remove the entire plating, so it wouldn't make any sense, because then it goes from looking good to looking terrible, right? And why would you put so much effort into ultimately having a massive risk of making it look terrible? That's not worth it. So be realistic with what you can do. I mean, it has a few scratches. You're not going to get these out. I mean, this here looks terrible. Here it looks fantastic. So, keep in mind that you want to use this item. If you buy a cheap $40 Cartier lighter, chances of it being an absolute museum piece are very slim in the first place. So, as I said already, be realistic, and yeah, this turned out great. So, next up, I'm gonna use some jewelry cleaner to take off all the excess polish, and because right now it's a little oily from the WD-40, and remove the excess lubrication material and just clean it up, and so that we have a clean mechanism and we can start putting it back together. So I'm going to clean it up now. If you don't have jewelry cleaner, just use some distilled water without anything else in it. Brush it down. Remember to clean your brush until it isn't sticky and smeary anymore. Also, maybe replace your towel because maybe you clean it up and then you put it right back into its under. So don't do that. I'll be right back when it is nice and cleaned up. Okie dokie, and we are back. So the lighter is all cleaned up now. All the residue from polishing process is removed. And as I said before, it's definitely not perfect, but it's definitely looking a lot better. So what is going to happen in the next stage is that we will now see if it actually works, which will definitely be interesting. So for that, we'll take the tank, and so this looks clean. So if yours is dirty here, definitely clean it up, but this one looks clean and good. And so we'll put this back into it now to then remove the gas, because I don't know how old the gas is in there. That's in there right now, and I don't want to play around with old gas and from a source I don't know. So to do that, we're going to put the cover back on, and then you'd always get these tips, and we're just going to take one of these and we'll press it on the valve to release the gas. So it doesn't have to be an exact fit. It just has to be able to fit on the valve, and so we're going to release all the old gas. Okay, that's it. Now, I actually still have original Cartier Flintstones. Now, I know that most people don't have these anymore, and actually I only have 3 left also. So I also have to look for new ones. So if you have any idea which other flints you could use, because I don't think Cartier makes them anymore, please let me know. I'm definitely interested. Now about this. So because we greased it up several times, make sure several times that your flintstone here is still clean. So, or the thing that sparks against your flintstone. So make sure it turns freely, which this does, and that it is nice and clean. I actually also put some WD-40 on this thread here. That is just something I do, but I would advise you to do that as well. So next step, we'll put it all back together, and let's see if this is gonna work. I am very, very curious. So I have to get this works like that as well. Awesome. There is a flint. So I tried the S2 DuPont flints. However, they are too wide, too short. So I don't know. I don't quite know. So please let me know if you can find a replacement, or if you have already found a replacement. Oops. Oh, yo. Always watch out if that's brink. That has some real force in it. All right. There we go. Let's try it again. Up. Jeez Louise. I looped up the thread a little too well. It always wants to escape. I think I got it. So yeah. Let's turn this back into here. So I'm actually filming all of this because in some other videos, some people wrote me emails and said, you always say what you do, but you don't actually show it. So we'd be willing to stick around with you a little longer if you'd actually were to show us what you do. And obviously, I thought people didn't care. Okay, so here we have a problem now. Something seems to be blocking the channel and not let the flintstone through. So I will see if I can figure this out, and I'll be back in right a second. Okay, I'm back. I took a little troubleshooting, but I now figured out what the problem is. So what had happened is that someone used a different flint inside of here, and the flint was too large, but they forced it up using the spring, and it got stuck right up here. And this might be something you might experience too. So the flint then gets stuck, and then people just give up. Don't. So what I did, originally I thought I had to remove the entire thing. Turned out I do not. So you can see there's a little screw right up here. Fortunately, I couldn't film it because it was so tedious, and I wasn't sure if it was correct. It is correct, but it's really easy, so I'm not going to do it again. I think you're going to get it. So what you have to do is you have to remove this little screw, and then you can slot out the entire wheel. What you then can do is you hold it up to your window, and you can see light obviously comes through this, but there was no light coming through this. So then I knew that my suspicion was correct, and that Flintstone was stuck in there. And so what I then did is I took this WD-40 bottle, and I took this extension here, and so firstly I sprayed some WD-40 in there just to dilute the thing, which was a very good decision, and then I just poked it through because this fits in there perfectly, and it then came out, and I had to clean all of this again. So but now I got the new flint in here, and you can see it works beautifully again. So now let's get the gas in there, and then hopefully it should work. So I'll be right back. Okay, I just filled up the lighter with gas. If you want a video that shows how you can do that, just check out my other Cartier video. I explained it in detail there. So let's see if it works. I'm super excited. We can hear gas flowing. There we go. There we go. 2 hours ago, this was nothing. This was a super dirty, non-functioning lighter that, you know, probably would have been broken up for parts. And now, 2 hours later, it works beautifully. Flame is a little high. You can still hear there's a little air in the system, but that will clear up with time. Extinguishes, works beautifully. I mean, this is literally perfect. It doesn't get much better than this. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that this showed you and inspired you to maybe do something like this yourself. It's not that hard. Just go out on eBay. If you find something that's cheap, if you find something that you like, just try it. You know, the worst thing that could happen is that you're unable to fix it and you're just going to sell it again. Or at least it's going to look better. So even if I hadn't been able to fix this, you know, selling it like this is a lot easier than just selling it looking the way it did before. So all in all, I think this was a successful project. I hope that you liked it, and I hope that I'll be able to see you again in the next video. So stay tuned. In the next video, we'll compare all four, and I'm really looking forward to that. And so, yeah, see you then.